Hi, for anyone that's here. I actually am just getting a few things set up and we'll be getting started soon. I'm going to be actually posting with I'm going to be doing the webinar with a what is that? I think they're called, well, on Mac, they're called Keynote, but I can't remember what they're called. Anyway, it's a keynote presentation. And so I just am trying to get that all set up and then we'll be ready to get started. So I have it set up so that my Mac talks to my phone and I can, manage the keynote by using my phone so that I'm not having to use my computer. And so anyway, I have all these little technical web going on, and it's definitely been a process because this is not my natural inclination. My natural inclination is people. It's not necessarily computers and technology. So this has been a process. I'm going to turn on some more lights and see if that helps. Okay. Gosh, Shelby, I think that you're the only viewer right now, which is good because it gives me a chance to. I think you're the only viewer right now. But that's good though, because it gives me a chance to arrange things a little bit. Shelby, I'm going to pull this up and tell me if it shows. Oh, that's what I need to do. Never mind. I just remembered I have to click screen share. I was going to see if you were watching, if you could see if it was showing my keynote presentation. But I just remembered I have to click screen share first. So I just remembered that. Okay. So 2 minutes. 2 minutes until showtime. Until showtime. Oh, I should be playing some music or something. Okay, it's 12 o'clock. It's time to get started. Shelby, am I showing up on that thing? On that page? On the page that you have up, am I showing up on that page? Okay. All right, well, you're the only viewer. I had like 15 signups, so I'm just curious. Um, okay, so we'll just go ahead and get started. I want to start out by just telling you that my name is Anna and I am a health and relationship coach. I'm going to give you a little bit more of my story as we get further into the presentation. Bottom line, my obsession in life has always been relationships, and I've always been very um, had a lot of circumstances in my life that have led me to that place. But I have finally, in my journey, embraced that part of myself. I've always thought of it as a negative thing, but recently I've actually embraced the fact that I love to talk about relationships. I love to be in relationships. I get scared in relationships. Everyone gets scared in relationship and intimacy, and that it's a process, that we go through, and it's an experience that that can sometimes be scary. And so I actually got a bachelor's degree in psychology and wanted to be a marriage and family therapist. And as I've continued on my journey, I have found that relationship coaching actually feels a bit more like what I really want to do. And so in that journey, I've been certified to be a relationship coach. I also am a health coach as well. And that's also been a part of my journey. And so here I am, and I am ready to do this presentation. And it looks like I have one person, which is my daughter here, but that's okay. I've had a lot of people sign up. I'm not real sure why no one's here, but we will proceed anyway. This is good practice. So I'll start out this is actually a keynote presentation. I like to do things in person. Like I prefer to just be on here on video, but I can see the value in actually having a keynote presentation as well. So there's a lot of, just little pieces that are really helpful that you can see and look at rather than just my face. So if you have any questions, please feel free to post them and I'll be glad to answer them. And I'm really excited to share this with you. So let's go ahead and get started. So here is my presentation here. So welcome to the Revive Your Relationship, Stop Settling for Good and Not Great webinar. My name is Anna Villalobos, and I give you a little bit about myself early on. I am the founder and creator of Healthy and Aware, and I help hopeless lovers reconnect and re-engage in relationship, or look at the possibility that may be time to get out. And how does that process work? Relationships sometimes plateau and become monotonous and can sometimes feel boring. And we can find ourselves wondering, well, should I stay and try harder and keep putting more into this? Or should I leave and start fresh with someone new? And anytime you're dealing with this kind of question, it's a life-changing question. And it's always very important to have an outside perspective when you're faced with this kind of dilemma, because changes in partnership are huge and they're big for everyone involved in the situation. Before we get fully rolling in our webinar today, I want to ask you to take a few moments and make sure that you have no distractions for at least the next 45 minutes and dedicate this time to yourself. Dedicate this time to your relationship. Turn off your cell phones, make sure your puppies and children are blissfully resting somewhere and that hopefully you're behind a closed door, because this is really, really important. And you deserve to take this time for yourself. And ultimately, this is something that you're giving to everyone around you as you do this for yourself. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you for doing this. And I'll give you just a minute to go ahead and take care of these things. And while you're doing that, I want to say that I'm very, very excited to share some of these secrets with you. I'm a firm believer in giving as much as you can up front, and I've put this webinar together with that intention. And when you leave, You will have some really great tools that will impact your energy levels and impact your relationships. So get a pen and paper, get ready to take notes because you will forget some of these things, and this is all just too important. So thank you so much for taking care of yourself, and let's get started. So if you're here, this webinar is for you if you've ever struggled with feeling like you're on a different path than your partner and you're wanting to discover how to reconnect and re-engage with them. If you've ever worried about the inner shrew that comes out every once in a while and destroys your relationship and you want to have more self-control and more direction, then this webinar is for you, and you'll find some tools in here that will be very helpful. If you've ever been afraid that you and your partner are so hurt that there's no hope for you. Sometimes we get to that place where it just feels like, it's just not, it's just, we're beyond repair. There's nothing that we can do at this point. And this is another hope, another chance for that. And hopefully some of these tools will help you. And if you know that you want to heal your relationship, but hopelessness sometimes stops you, and sometimes we get to a place where we're just, we're just hopeless, and it doesn't even matter if we have something come our direction that might work. There's like this hopelessness that invades that possibility, and so hopefully some of the things that I share with you will open that door again and keep that hopelessness at bay for you. And if you're tired of feeling alone in your relationship, then this is the place for you. If you are in a marriage or relationship that's on the fence, and if you are the person or the person that you love are not sure that you can do this anymore, or if you're in a long-term relationship and you want to get fully engaged, deeply connected, and absolutely clear about your relationship. I also call this being very conscious in your relationship. You are here to learn. If you got here from my promotion on Facebook, or if you follow me on Facebook and you're learning more about what I do, you're here to learn how to tame your inner rage monster so that you can really listen to your partner. Sometimes what happens is, our partner starts talking and that rage monster starts to rise up. And, another word for that is ego. And sometimes we need to tame that part of ourselves in order to really be able to listen to them and hear what it is that they're wanting to share with us. You're going to learn how to cut off the biggest drain to your desire in your relationship. You might be really surprised to find out exactly what that is. And you're here to learn the secret to unraveling damage from years and years of resentment. So a lot of times we carry resentment with us, and then when someone says something, or the person in our relationship says something, we're still holding a grudge inside from long time ago that doesn't allow that message to actually fully come through, and also doesn't allow that to be heard. And sometimes that right there, just that little piece, can be what changes our relationship and what shifts things from a place of hopelessness to a place of hopefulness and possibility. And you'll also learn the best way to remove the roadblocks of connection with your partner. And that resentment can be one of those roadblocks. So we'll get to learn all of those strategies as well. You'll also learn and have how some of you will have the opportunity to go deeper with me if you'd like to go deeper. Imagine how you would feel if you could feel deeply connected to your lover, just passionately connected to your lover. Imagine how you would feel if you could model an incredible relationship for your children to emulate. Your children are going to grow up and be adults, and one day they're going to be having their own relationships, and you are the model. You are the example of how they will have those relationships and what those relationships will be like for them. What if you could know that you've given everything that you can give to your relationship? That's such an important piece in having a relationship, is knowing that you've given everything that you can. And imagine how you would feel if you could feel completely secure about your relationship and you could go out into the world and there was nothing that, no fears at home or anxieties about your relationship, that you could just go out into the world and do what you need to do, knowing that you have a secure relationship. I want to tell you a little bit about my story to get started here. Um, so my story started as I was sitting in the corner of my yellow laundry room in the basement of the home that I shared with my then husband of 10 years. We had 2 children, you can see here in the picture. We lived in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I'm sitting in the corner of that laundry room, and I was feeling trapped, I was feeling scared, and I was sobbing, and it was not just crying. I was sobbing deep, heavy sobs. I had tears streaming down my face, and I felt just this heaviness in my chest, and I wanted to ask for a divorce. I needed to draw a line in our relationship, one that I had drawn before and then changed over and over again. My husband at the time had just lost his job again, and I was so angry with him. I was angry with him again, and I felt completely unstable in our relationship, and our relationship was disconnected. My parents had stayed together for the children, and I was looking back on the last 10 years realizing that I was doing the same thing. And I had started living my marriage and being a mother in a state of going through the motions. I was disconnected, and I had spent years looking and searching for a way to make our marriage make sense, to reconnect, and to get on the same road with him. I had even joined a church thinking that that might be the answer. I was lonely and at a complete loss for what to do next. I drew the line in the sand again. And it was 4 years later that I finally pulled the trigger and asked for a divorce and followed through with it. I finally got fully clear about my relationship, and I saw how much in that moment I honored and valued this man for much of what he had given in our relationship, and I honored myself for doing the same. I was no longer in a state of tumultuousness in my heart, in my spirit, in my energy. I was now in a place of just clarity and love and connection. And I knew that ending the marriage was not an act of anger or resentment. And I had forgiven him, I loved him, and I knew we could not continue to walk the same path. And the decision, believe me, the decision was heart wrenching. I spent years and years learning, reading, studying, and obsessing about relationships, mainly because I had grown up as the child of 2 people that had had a great deal of tumult and drama in relationship, and I wanted something different for myself and for my children. And honestly, I did have something different. My husband at the time and I were very polite to each other, and we were kind to each other. But internally, I felt alone. I felt tired, disconnected, and unhappy. Relationships, and especially intimate relationships, are the birthplace of lots and lots of growth. And we had both had a lot of growth over the years. But I have memories of a lot of anger and resentment and hurt. I felt closed up and completely turned off in every part of my life. I spent year after year, day after day, searching for the answer to heal our relationship, crying and sobbing for the ability to let go and truly love this man that was genuinely trying so hard to just love me. Part 2 of our story, ultimately, our dissatisfaction in that marriage resulted in a divorce. We had 2 pre-teenage children at the time, and they were the victims of this divorce. And although we did our best to make it as easy for them as possible and we separated amicably, it was still heart-wrenching. And of course, divorce is never easy. And any huge turning point like that in life makes you go inside and search for the reason that it happened. And that's exactly what I did. And besides the searching that I did while in the marriage, I've spent the past 7 years searching for answers as to why my marriage was so disconnected, so angry, so exhausting and unstable. And after my divorce and years of soul searching and growth, I have finally found some secrets to really changing the experience of relationship altogether. I've studied close to every marriage book that I could find that was out there. I've read countless hours of relationship materials. I've been certified as a relationship coach. And my story, of course, is not to recommend divorce in the face of dissatisfaction in marriage or partnership. And as a relationship coach, I work with people that are searching for their answer. Many people just don't know which direction they should go. And one point of peace that I had in making my decision was that I had literally exhausted every option that I could find and invest in my relationship. And that knowledge has brought me so much confidence about the decision that I made and that it was right for me. And in the process of all of this knowledge and all of this dedication to relationship and intimacy, I have learned so much about relationships. And I'm very excited to share this with you. And I'm excited to share with you the healthy rewards of really putting the time into your relationship. I have 10,000 hours plus in $30,000 in therapy and coaching and education to find these answers, and I'm really excited to share them with you. Now, I can tell you that I'm in a relationship in which we both grow every single day. We're very connected, very loving. We have amazing conversations, we support each other, and there's a true partnership here. My children are grown now and they are beginning their relationships. And I have the knowledge that I can share with them when they come across struggles. And that's so fulfilling for me. And it feels great to know that I'm deeply connected and that I will spend my life with someone that is invested in me and I'm invested in him. And I'm excited to share these things with you. So let me ask you, why is deep connection in relationship important? Well, they have found there have been countless studies in people who lack connection or report feeling lonely suffer higher rates of morbidity and mortality. Close relationships are the key to happiness. Yes, they truly are the key to happiness in life. And I know that that's a little bit edgy because everybody's saying, no, to be happy, you need to be independent, you need to be on your own. But the fact is that we are built to connect. We are built to interact. We are built for community and for relationship. And in a major study of survey of college students, 97% of them stated that they believe that having a close family relationship is the key to happiness. Relationship during illness or major life experiences changes the experience for the positive. So in the book Love and Intimacy, Dr. Dean Ornish quotes a study that was done in Guatemala City that revealed that continuous presence of supportive companion during labor and delivery shortened the duration of labor and reduced the need for C-section and other interventions. Conflict within relationship can actually weaken your immune system. So in another study, it was found that couples who had been married for 42 years and constantly argued had weakened immune system. So that's how deeply we are impacted by our relationships and why it is so vitally important to make our relationships our number one priority in our lives, and why it's so important that we make them positive and loving. So myth number one, it's normal for couples to grow apart after a few years of marriage. It is true that couples will develop their own interests and have their own friends, and it does not serve the relationship to grow too far apart. Marriage thrives on connection and reliance, and allowing your partner to be an influencer and a close partner can make or break your marriage in your relationship. Myth number two, relationships should just be easy or should just happen. Number people are exactly the same, and even two people, no two people, sorry. No two people are exactly the same. And even two people that have a great deal in common are not exactly alike. And there will be some differences that need to be resolved. And resolving them will inevitably require hard work and effort. There is not a single relationship that does not require hard work. And I remember when Ben Affleck won an Oscar and he thanked his wife, Jennifer Garner, for working hard on their marriage every day. And the truth is, that is what it takes. That is exactly what it takes. Anything that is worth it always requires time, energy, effort, and consciousness. I try not to use that word always very often because I think that sometimes people get turned off by it. But the fact is that anything that is worth it always requires time, energy, effort, and consciousness. Myth number 3, trying to fix hurt and resentment in relationship is not possible. It is true that changing your habits and behaviors can be difficult at first, but as you begin to develop your muscle in these areas, it begins to get easier and easier. And as you begin to make changes in your relationship and your partner sees and starts to trust the changes that are being made, then a new relationship will begin to develop. Let's get to the good stuff on the secrets. So I listened to this lady named Allison Armstrong. She's wonderful. Her website is understandmen.com if you're wanting to know more about her. She's really an amazing woman. She's done a lot of studies and she's worked with a lot of men specifically. And there was something I was listening to one day that she said that being willing is more than just saying, oh, sure, if by some miracle I feel ready to play, then I'm open. I'm willing to do that if by some miracle it happens upon me. It is actually coming from the mindset that you have to actually actively will a behavior into your existence, into your being, into your countenance, and into your action. So the first step that you need to take in this is to choose your action with intent. Come from the mindset that you are choosing your partner. This should be taken very seriously. The best indication that you're really giving this relationship its fullest possibility is to be willing and choosing consciously to create an active and passive relationship. So if you're by yourself right now, I want you to say out loud, say these words: I am willing and consciously choosing to create an active and passionate relationship with my partner, whoever your partner is. So let's say that again one more time. I am willing and consciously choosing to create an active and passionate relationship with, name your partner. I mentioned earlier that we often think that relationships are supposed to be easy or that they should just happen and not require effort. In a UCLA article about marriage and commitment, the authors found that couples that were willing to make sacrifices within their relationship were more effective in solving their problems. The reason this is the case is because everything gets difficult at some point. And to solve problems or situations, both people need to be committed to solving the issue. It's very surprising also how often working through your issues as partners can actually create a bond in your relationship, especially when you acknowledge your partner's efforts. So as you have that partnership and as you actively and consciously choose to work together, you develop a teamwork, a partnership that takes your relationship to a different place. Let's start to remove the roadblocks. This is a big place. One of the biggest detriments to relationship is our own dragons. In fact, I'll be releasing an ebook on this topic very soon. And in my estimation, the biggest dragon that we face is our own negative self-talk and self-criticism. So think about this. Only one with you all day, every day. If you were to sit down and write out what your thoughts are about yourself, you would probably be shockingly surprised. In fact, I challenge you to give this a try. Write down every thought you have about yourself for one whole day. Then, I'm sorry, my daughter is downstairs dealing with the dog. So my apologies for the dog barks in the background. He's fine. He's a little bit wimpy, so everything scares him. So anyway, but he's fine. Go ahead and start again. Write down every thought you have about yourself for one whole day. And at the end of the day, go back and read it and look at the ratio of positive to negative. For just a minute and mention that all the things that I'm teaching you right now and that we're talking about, these are things that are going to be a practice. So the process of my experience that I learn a concept to go to the next place, which is actually taking that and putting it to practice. So you're not going to be good at this right away. You're not going to be really, really good at it. It's going to be a practice. It's going to be a journey for you. Write down every thought you have about yourself for one whole day. Then at the end of the day, go back and read it and look at the ratio. This exercise will help you to develop an awareness about the way that you talk to yourself. And as you develop that awareness, you can begin to shift what you say. For example, I used to look in the mirror and I would roll my eyes and huff every single time. Like every time I looked in the mirror, I would roll my eyes and huff. Aware of what I was doing to myself, I was able to change my behavior a little bit at a time. I wasn't perfect at it, up for it either. I learned to stop looking in the mirror and seeing the imperfections and instead seeing the whole picture of who I am. And now I can look at myself in the mirror and immediately I smile and appreciate myself. So when you become aware of that self-criticism, you take that moment and you shift it to something positive. You consciously shift it. It might be something like, oh, Anna, what's wrong with you? Why did you lose your keys again? How stupid does a person have to be to lose their keys on a daily basis? Shift that to, shoot, I did it again. I lost my keys. Wow, it's always an adventure looking for my keys, and I always end up finding 3 other things that I've been looking for in the process. What will happen in this process is that you begin to shed that negative energy. This happens more and more. So every time you shift that, it starts a new direction. And as you begin to clear away that negativity, you start to open yourself up. And as this happens, you begin to see how you can open up to your partner. So it starts to be something that you open up within yourself, and then you begin to open up with your partner. And this action of opening up is so important, so important in intimacy. This is a very important part of the webinar today. It's probably the most important part. So as you're listening, please take this part of the webinar in very, very deeply. To your lover is the greatest gift that you can give, both physically and spiritually. Look, dear lover, David Deida says, when you feel deep into your heart, you feel love. You are love, shines as light, and so you want to be truly seen. This light flows as energy. Offer yourself completely. See how these two concepts complement each other? As long as your heart is closed to yourself because of self-criticism and negativity that you speak to yourself, then you will not shine and you will not want to be seen. And as long as you do not want to be seen to your lover, you will be very pleasantly surprised at how easily you begin to open and radiate when you shift the negativity inside of yourself and open up in love to yourself. And you begin to open up with your partner. Secret number 2, unraveling that resentment. Do you remember when you first fell in love? Do you remember the little things he or she did that were so cute and adorable and sweet, and now they're just irritating? They're not. Regaining that kind of adoration is very doable. At the end of this section of the webinar, I'm going to take a few moments and share with you an exercise that will help you to achieve that kind of affection for your lover again and again, over and over and over again. Okay, this is a really important piece as well. Start referring to your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend as your lover. Even in your own mind, they are your lover. Intense meaning, and wife or husband can sometimes fall into a mundane category. And as you do this, you will begin to shift the way you see him or her and the way that you see themselves through you. Start at the beginning. What did you love about your lover? How did you feel the first time that you saw him or her? What experiences did you have together that made you fall in love? Where did you go? What did you eat? Maybe you didn't eat. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes love makes you unable to even eat because of all of the excitement and adrenaline running through your body. Eyes and take yourself back to those moments, those places, and recall what he or she did or said. do this in just 1 or 2 minutes and begin to shift the feelings that you have for your lover. For example, you find yourself getting grumpy about picking up his socks for the 15th time. Shift into the beginning. Socks and picking them up will soon fade away, and you will start to have warm feelings again. And picking up those socks will begin to have like that excitement that it used to have. Like, oh my gosh, I get to pick up his socks. It's exciting. Conscious, loving thoughts throughout the day. Once you initiate those loving feelings consciously, to keep warmth in your heart as your day carries forward. The good that he or she does, even the tiniest little things like opening the door for you or listening for even a few minutes or checking in with you throughout the day. Consciously bring these things to the forefront of your mind. Sometimes when we're in a relationship, we start to take them for granted. And we take for granted even the little things that our partners and our lovers do for us. And we forget to be grateful for them. A gratitude list of all the little things that your partner does for you. Your lover, are you grateful for? What makes you smile? What makes you laugh? How do they bring joy and happiness to your life? And how do they partner with you? And what do you love about them physically? And what do they do for other people that you love and appreciate? And what can you thank them for tonight? List. And when you're feeling a deep heart connection, read that list throughout the day. If you do this, you will feel a deepening connection and you will feel more free and more open to them completely. Your heart and your brain generate a powerful electromagnetic field. And when those electromagnetic fields are in sync, peace. I'm sure if you just take a minute and think about it, you've been at that place where you just feel complete peace. And that's because your heart and your mind are connected. They're in sync. You feel confused, you feel upset, and truthfully, you're unable to make wise decisions. You go into an antiquated survival part of your brain. That's where our processes are diminished. So I'm going to take just a few moments to walk you through an exercise that will teach you how to sync your mind and your heart and change the way you are able to handle everything in your life, not just your lover. Exercise on your own, you might want to turn on some music, some peaceful meditative type music, or just something that will reconnect you with love and passion and relationship. So put your hand on your heart and close your eyes. Think about a peaceful place, somewhere that you love to be. Be in the woods. It might be near a stream or an ocean or a lake. Bathtub with some delicious smelling bath salts. Wherever that is, take a moment and go there in your mind. I'm going to give you just a minute to do that. While you're going there, just take some deep, slow breaths. Breathe into your belly. Listen. Allow the oxygen to fill all the way up, all the way down to your pelvis. Breathing. Think about your favorite place. Think about the details. Is it an ocean? Are there waves? You hear waves flowing. Do you hear the drip of the water faucet if it's in your bathtub? I'm going to give you just a minute. I'm going to be quiet for just a minute and allow you to breathe, and I'm going to allow you to just sink into that place that you love. Just a few moments and start thinking about your lover. Someone that you love and adore. It could be anyone. It doesn't even have to be your lover. It could be a child, a nephew, someone that makes your heart feel warm and fuzzy. Fine. Maybe smell them, maybe talking, just see them, imagine them in your mind. Imagine that person, feel the warmth in your heart, and allow that love to expand and open into your entire body. This feeling. Allow it to move all the way down to your toes, all the way down to your fingertips, to the tip of your nose and to the top of your head, to the edges of your ears. And then let it go even further. Go outside of your body, warmth to connect outside of your physical self. Now direct those thoughts and those feelings toward your lover. Imagine his or her face, body, spirit, energy. Allow all of the love that you just generated into him or her. Spend just a few minutes here just thinking about your lover. Allow that love to flow into that person, into your lover. Okay. Back. Normalize your breathing again. Keep your loving thoughts flowing as you begin to open your eyes and feel the space around you. Breathe and feel. This is a great exercise to do when you're feeling hurt or angry or resentful. You back to the space of feeling love and flow of connection between your brain and your heart, the two most powerful organs that we have. Bonus for attending this webinar, I want to send you a recording of this meditation. If you would like a recording of the meditation, you can listen to it at any time on your phone, in your car. Please, in the chat box, go ahead and let me know, and I will send that to your email address. So if you are interested, just say, yes, I want the bonus for attending the webinar. I want the bonus recording of the heart-mind connection exercise, and I will get that out to you as soon as I can, probably this afternoon. So now we'll move into secret number 3, consciousness. What do you do with those negative thoughts? So we still, we can go through this exercise, and it's a beautiful, beautiful exercise. At the same time, we all have negative thoughts. We all have negative moments in relationships. And I don't want you to just try to cover them up. They're valid. You're hurt for a reason. There's frustration for a reason. One key to working through that is to choose a specific time to discuss your hurt. Maybe go through this exercise before you go and discuss it, so that you can be in a really loving place when you start to have the conversation. This time should not be a moment that you feel extreme emotions. So don't work on something difficult, hurt place within yourself when you're feeling extreme emotion. Not an easy practice, believe me. You will find moments where you go into it with this love, and then you start to have a conversation and you start to feel the anger and resentment bubble up again. And it might be at that moment that you need to step back again. Let's hold this for now, and we'll come back to it when we can be a little bit more peaceful. It may be a long-term process. It may be something that you have to do over and over again. If you can, write down how you're feeling and save it for another time. If you're feeling highly emotional and you're afraid you might not remember what you were feeling emotional about, write it down. When you're both feeling better emotionally, and you can be more fruitful in the process of working through this. Much more to this part of the process that I won't have time to share all of it with you, but it's a great place to start. If you are feeling overwhelmingly negative, on a piece of paper, then burn it and rip it up and turn it into tiny pieces. Allow those thoughts to exist. Don't push them away. Let them, go too far, but don't let them carry you away either. And pick a time to discuss the issue in a calm and rational manner. Ask for what you need and be ready to negotiate. Key is to acknowledge the hard parts, but don't dwell on them. Just a few days ago, I was feeling resentment toward my partner, and I started to see myself dwelling on that resentment. And when I noticed said something to me, I wanted to immediately argue with him. In fact, in my head, I did start arguing. But when I saw this happening from that place, I consciously chose to shift my thoughts and see his positive attributes. You might think that it's just ignoring the hard parts, because what's wrong is always available, but so is what's right. And using this technique will allow you to work through the hard parts and even acknowledge them as they happen, but then move to a more positive place, yes, and then re-engage in resolving the difficulty. You might even need to take some time in order to process through this. Use the exercise that I taught you earlier, the heart-mind exercise, to take you to a better place, and then go into the resentment, the hurt, the anger that you might be dealing with. I also wanted to mention that I have a Facebook post on instinct brain, and this is a real thing. Like, when we are not connected, our hearts and our minds are not connected, we are in instinct brain. So if you want to go check out my Facebook page, it's Healthy and Aware on Facebook. Go check it out. Find my post on instinct brain, and that will help help you have another guideline towards working through the instinct brain. It's a real thing, and it's perfectly fine that we have it. In fact, it's been a part of our survival. So, 4, ditch the biggest drain on your desire. Let me tell you, one of the biggest drains on our desire is just being physically completely drained and exhausted. Our bodies only have so much energy. I don't hear this message from anywhere else, and it may come as quite a surprise, but the food that you eat, your levels of hydration, your proper rest, and your movement are the basis for your body's ability to function at an optimum level, which affects your sexual, sensual, intimate desire. Our hormone levels are also directly affected by our nutrition and movement, and the flow of all of the processes happening in your body, and vice versa, balance in your body. So some things that you can do to support your body and keep from draining your desire are not to skip meals. 5 hours, no matter what, and do your best at making those meals a healthy mix of raw and cooked foods, because skipping meals can cause blood sugar fluctuations, which initiates a hormonal waterfall effect. In fact, this morning I didn't eat because I was really nervous about this, about my webinar, and I didn't eat anything. And let me tell you, right before the webinar started, I felt a lot of anxiety, and my daughter was here with me, and she was helping me through some things. And she witnessed, me like just feeling this edginess, and I can't even think straight. And it's because I didn't eat this morning. And that's really where it came from. Also is an epidemic in this country, and many of the symptoms are surprising. So dehydration can be the reason for vaginal dryness. It can be the reason for fatigue, for headaches, and for general irritability. You might be really surprised that the simple act of hydrating yourself can do wonders for your sex life. So just making sure you drink enough water. You also can increase your drinking of water. Maybe you don't like water, you can use high in water content, like watermelon, strawberries, some of the things that are more water content. Movement in your body stimulates your hormones. So get out there and move. There's nothing like an intense yoga class that makes me feel frisky. Let me tell you, every time I exercise, I feel like $1 million. And then sleeping and getting enough rest every night. Your body depends on your sleep at night, and it depends on that to reset your hormonal process. So if you're not getting enough sleep at night, your hormone processes are not rebooting, and you're depleted already. Wake up the next day depleted. To get a good night of rest. Use lavender oil or essential oil. I use Peace and Calming on the bottom of my feet. It makes a big difference. Some people use melatonin. I do occasionally. Calcium, magnesium can be really helpful in getting a good night of sleep. It calms your central nervous system. So obviously, if your body is shutting down your reproductive support, then your drive to engage in sex will diminish greatly. Your desire to have sex, the mechanisms and hormones that initiate those little moments when your spouse is walking around with no shirt on and you feel a lot of energy go to the groin area, that happens less and less if you're not feeling that hormone function. You're out of balance or diminished as a result of poor nutrition, dehydration, a lack of movement, or a lack of proper rest. Your sexual desires will suffer. Your sensual desires, your desire to connect with your partner will suffer as a result of that. So think about all of those things. Like I said, you may not hear this anywhere else. So there's no better feeling than knowing that the person that you chose to spend your life with sees all of you and loves you unconditionally, and that you feel the same way with them. When you look into your lover's eyes and you see hurt and resentment, that is one of the most painful experiences a person can have in life. It affects every other part of your life, and it is no way to live. Imagine if you could feel deeply connected to your lover and your partner. What if you could share a life with your lover and experience him or her on such a deep level that you could understand their needs in a way that made them feel completely fulfilled? And if you were completely clear about your relationship and you knew exactly what step to take next. Well, I'm getting mixed up here. Relationships are not always easy. They require focus and energy and effort in order to flow in a positive and fulfilling direction. And sometimes in relationship, we come to an impasse. Maybe you've spent years and years, like I did, trying to figure out the puzzle and you haven't been able to figure that out. Maybe you need an outside source to help you figure out what to do next. Some of you may have a very difficult decision to make around your relationship. Maybe you don't know if you should stay in and keep trying, or if it's time to think about ending your relationship and what would that look like and how to proceed. Either way, it is a difficult, heart-wrenching decision. You have three choices right now. You can do nothing and continue to struggle by and not have this sorted out, which I did for a very long time. You can try to do it on your own, and you can do it on your own. I did it on my own. I went through a lot of reading, a lot of studying, and I did it completely on my own. It was really, really hard. I found my pathway though. Or you can allow me to walk alongside of you and fast track your future, your decision. Opening up 6 spots for a free discovery call with me. We will get focused and clear, very clear about your relationship, what needs to change, and how to implement that. We'll be looking at how to get very clear about your relationship, and if it's time to go deeper or if it's time to get out and what's happening. Help you decide once and for all if you want to go deeper or if you want to get out. Deeper if you want to really commit. How to get connected on level 10, go well past just a good relationship to a great relationship, and how to move forward and do it with clarity and purpose if that's the road that you need to take. To be my next success story. If yes, you are in the right place. How to implement this step by step. If yes, I'd like to invite you to apply to talk with me where I can give you a free plan on how to get this working for you. I'm opening up limited spots this week to hop on a complimentary strategy session with me, discovery session with me directly. And here's how it looks. So what we'll do is we'll get on the phone and I'll find out more about you specifically and your situation and how I can help you. And I'll help you identify the fastest way to make all of this happen and the order in which to do it. A complimentary soul session. At the end of the call, one of 2 things will happen. We'll either decide, yes, we're a great fit, let's work together, and I'll invite you to join my program. And this means I would personally be helping you to implement everything step by step. And if we're not a fit, that's okay too. I have lots of people applying to work with me, so it's all right, no big deal. Ready for you to explore some things in that soul session where we can talk a little bit more about what is happening, do some exploration. And I only want to help people and work with people that I can truly help to fast track their results. So this is a win-win situation. Either way, the call will leave you with greater clarity and a plan. So it can't hurt anything to do this session. If you're looking for answers to deepen your connection to your partner, and if you're looking to have more intimacy and love in your relationship, and if you're wanting to engage more deeply in your relationship, and if you want to find the answer to staying in your relationship and getting deeper, or looking at the possibility that it's time to get out, then these are the people I can help. I can help an action taker. I can help people that are open and coachable. If you're ready to make a change and you want a fast track, and if you're capable of seeing someone who, and if you really believe in investing in your relationship, investing in yourself, get started today. Let's have a conversation. So if you go to healthyandaware.com/appointments, you can book your appointment session with me. You'll receive a questionnaire, and you'll have to I'll ask you to fill out a few questions. Please fill out the form completely. Don't use one-word answers. We'll get you booked, and we'll get you get you booked for your free session. So let me get on here really quickly and see if there are any questions in the question and answer box. Computer's moving a little bit slow here. Stop. So my video is going to come back on. Hello. Looks like we have one viewer. That may still be my daughter, but that's okay. Go over to the relationship. Okay. Shelby? Yeah. Circle? I needed for you to come tell me that. Well, I could just tell you that in the middle. Yeah, you could have, because nobody else can see me either.